Yo, what's going on, guys? Chris Warner here, Overtime Athletes. For today's video, I'm gonna give you 15 of my favorite single leg plyometrics. If you've watched the channel, you know I'm huge on developing explosiveness with my athletes. And one of those aspects that I really like to attack and hammer is single leg training, whether that be through resistance or whether that be through our plyometrics, our jump training. And what I decided I wanted to be able to do is kind of put through a progressive manner all of these single leg plyos that we perform. Now, obviously, this is gonna be taking out a lot of our horizontal and a lot of our lateral plyos. This is gonna be solely focused on some of our vertical force development, which will translate over to all those other qualities such as lateral and horizontal force development. So let's get right into it. All right, so firing right off, first and foremost, every single thing that we do in our training after our dynamic warm-up is preceded by a prep series. And our first thing is we're trying to elevate the lower limb. So getting right off into our single leg jumps, after we do some bilateral pogos, we're gonna do some variation of a single leg pogo, whether that be forward, whether that be stationary, right? Whether that be lateral, elevating inversion, eversion, or if it's just simply, like I said, stationary. From there, what we could do is we could do a single leg hop series. It's very low level plyometrics, gets the athletes being able to work. This could be, again, linear, or this could be in a stationary fashion. So it's just gonna be a nice and easy absorbing continuous jumps. Now, if I wanna elevate it from there, I could put a small barrier that the athlete needs to jump over, such as our mini hurdle. I usually use the mini hurdles during our ground contact series, where we're really trying to focus on fast ground contact, right? Being able to increase tendon stiffness. So those single leg jumps are gonna be very rapid, especially on a single leg. Athlete is still focused on getting as high as they possibly can, but that's a series that we do from a lower limb where we absolutely hammer those single leg pogos. All right, so the next series or the next progression of unilateral plyometric drills is gonna be our decel series. So we have a very specific decel series that we hammer. We add a lot of volume to this at the beginning in the phase. It's rather quite easy for an athlete to follow from the youth all the way up to a professional level, and very effective. So the first one we're gonna do is just gonna be a sprinter step up. Now the athlete is gonna stand basically lateral to the bench, right? Hips are back behind, shin is completely vertical. The athlete is gonna spring up and control themselves down. Now, from a decel perspective, again, the biggest thing that I'm looking for is the athlete not to jump up and collapse. I'm asking them to be able to create force, but then also be able to control it down in a continuous manner. Now for us then to be able to progress this or change the variation or the angle of the leg, it's gonna work different musculature, right? Work a couple different things. So then we go to an alternating sprinter step up. So by me going lateral, right, I'm gonna get more hip involved. By me facing it and doing an alternating, I'm gonna tilt forward and I'm push through the ball of the foot. My knees slightly forward as well. All my angles are going forward and I'm going over, keeping my center of mass over the bench and being able to control here. Now I have to decelerate more through the quad. From this, we take this alternating sprinter step up, and then we go ahead and flip to a deeper hip and knee range through our Bulgarian split squat. So Bulgarian split squat jump, sink down, pop the knee, and I want to see that athlete drop the hip to the knee level and be able to sink and decelerate through that full range of motion. So the next series of progressions is going to be our series of single leg box jumps. Now there's a couple different ways and there's a lot of different wrinkles that we can add to these, but what I'm gonna do is be able to share with you the simple progression that we follow. First things first is gonna be single leg, non-counter movement. So the athlete is starting from this position, being able to explode up. They're not getting that stretch shortening cycle or that stretch reflex. They're starting from the bottom position, being able to explode up and then land on 2 feet. After that, we can go from hands on the hips. So we're taking out the lever. Remember, longer levers, more power. So by them using their arms, they're able to propel themselves up vertically more. For us, what we want to do is we want to eliminate that, put the hands on the hips, single leg, be able to explode up and jump. After that, we can then add the leverage, put it all together from a standing static position right here, be able to explode up, land 2. Then from there, what we can do, essentially go from a single leg landing on 2, which It's a little bit easier to single leg landing on one. So here, boom, stabilize, control off that one box. Finally, what we do is gonna go a single leg approach where the athlete is gonna focus on gaining a little bit of momentum, exploding up, and then being able to jump on the box. That's our single leg box series. All right, so to continue to advance these, our next series that we kind of implement in the block where it's very concentric focus. What that means is we're focused on all propulsion, right? So the athlete is in a fixed position. We're completely eliminating the stretch reflex, stretch shortening cycle, and it's all about contractile velocity. How fast can the athlete turn it on, be able to produce force? So our first one in that series is gonna be the half kneeling box jump. So the athlete's just gonna get down, and again, this is a little bit more of an advanced jump. Athlete's gonna get into the half kneeling position. The athlete's gonna focus on being able to jump up from this deeper range of motion and land on 2 feet. So here, boom, explode up, being able to drive through the ground, and again, really work that concentric. From there, they can go ahead and we can progress into a single leg box jump. So we do this on 1 foot and 2 feet, but I really like to do it on 1 foot just to be able to isolate. Again, with the athlete sitting on the box, we're not performing that eccentric or having that transition during isometric phase. It's all focused on right here, getting a little bit of momentum, keeping the foot on the ground, being able to explode up and land on the box, pure concentric. The last one that I really like in this phase is gonna be the step up launch. Now, step up launch is gonna be in that same sprinter step up position where the athlete is here, but they're gonna be focused on being able to project themselves vertically, right? Whereas the other one is focused on being able to control on the way down, absorb force, if you will. This one's all focused on being able to generate force right through that concentric motion. So the athlete's here, exploding up, landing 2 feet in a controlled position. So that's that series that we go through, focusing purely on the concentric phase of those jumps. All right, and the last series of progressions, which is kind of our most advanced or most stressful to the athlete, meaning it elicits the most amount of stimulus and is extremely tough on the body, is gonna be our Russian series. Now, while this is very focused on force absorption, right? If it's an elite level athlete, I might add it in the beginning, depending on where that athlete's at and their level to be able to handle it, right? In the beginning when we focus on absorption. However, usually of the entirety of an athlete, I'm not gonna perform a lot of these with our youth or high school. You're gonna see us perform these with more of our collegiate and elite level athletes, and that's our Russian lunge series. So I know that obviously it's supported on both legs, but it's really placing the emphasis on that one. So the first one in this series is gonna be the speed Russian series. And that's where essentially we just have the athlete in a split squat stance, right? Or a lunge stance, if you will. And essentially what the athlete is gonna do is they're gonna be rapidly switching, right? Flexing one hip, extending the other, and being able to switch and be able to smack that ground and catch themselves. So it's gonna look like this without moving their hips. So imagine my belt line stays parallel with the ground the whole time, and the athlete just needs to be able to keep their hips at that level and be able to rapidly switch as fast as they can. Next one after that is just gonna be the traditional Russian lunge. Now, from that same split squat stance, I'm gonna ask the athlete to jump up and then be able to land in that same split stance. So the athlete will be here, boom, quick little bounce, be able to tuck jump and land back in that position. The way I can regress this is I can have the athlete start in a bilateral, take a step, boom, perform a tuck jump, and then land in that stance. Or I can even have that athlete alternate and then land in the opposite, which is a little bit easier than focusing on that one. So there you have it, that's the Russian series. All right, there you have it, guys. My full 15 favorite single leg plyometrics at this time, this date right now that I'm performing with my athletes. Try them out, mix them up into your training. Make sure that you're performing single leg exercises. I'll catch you guys next time.